Before listen, lock your door.
Subscribe for daily horror story.
First story.
My grandfather used to say, if you ever see something fall from the sky and land in those hills, don't go looking. Don't be curious. Whatever comes down doesn't come alone. I should have listened. God, I really should have listened. It happened in the fall of 2019. I was living alone in a rusting trailer just a few miles outside Sutton, West Virginia, near the edge of the Monongahela Forest. The kind of place where the trees press close to your windows at night and the only sounds are wind, owls, and whatever the hell else lives out there. I worked the graveyard shift at a distribution warehouse just off Route 19. Long hours, poor pay, and a building that always felt too quiet after midnight. By 2 a.m., I'd usually be half asleep on my feet, scanning boxers under humming fluorescent lights. But that night, everything just stopped. First, the lights flickered. Then the air got cold. Not just cool cold, like a basement in winter. The lights snapped off completely. The emergency backup didn't even kick in. It was pitch black. I stepped outside to smoke, thinking maybe the power went out across town. The second I opened the trailer door, I felt it, the silence. The kind that isn't just quiet, but presses on you. No insects, no wind, not even the hum of highway traffic, just stillness. Then I saw it. A green light streaked across the sky, low and fast. It wasn't a shooting star. Too slow, too controlled. It made no sound, no explosion, just a distant, muffled thump as it vanished behind the trees, toward Elkhorn Lake. The sky swallowed the glow almost instantly, but I stood there like an idiot, frozen. I should have gone back inside. Instead, I grabbed my coat, a flashlight, and headed straight into the woods. The deeper I went, the worse the air got. It smelled burnt plastic and metal, but also sulfur, thick and choking. The trees looked wrong too, leaves curled, bark blackened. I followed the ridge trail toward where I thought the light had fallen, but I was just guessing. About 10 minutes in, my flashlight started flickering. Another minute, and it died completely. And that's when I saw it. At first I thought it was a statue, 10 feet tall, maybe more. Humanoid, but the proportions were off. The body gleamed under the moonlight like dull metal tarnished silver or armor left to rot. It stood among the trees without moving. No sound, no breathing. The head was round, almost too round, like the top of a spade. The face was a smooth plate, and from it burned to red eyes. Bright and steady, not glowing, but searing. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. Every instinct I had told me to run, but my legs betrayed me. I stood there, trembling, as the smell of sulfur hit full force, like rotten eggs mixed with ozone and blood. Then it tilted its head. Something pierced my sound, but pressure, buzzing like a hornet's nest inside my brain. My ears rang, my vision blurred. I dropped to my knees, clutching my head as a warm trickle ran from my nose. Blood, I think so. The woods around me began to warp, like I was underwater. Trees swayed the wrong way. Shadows pulsed. I think I screamed, but no sound came out. Then it moved. Just one step, one slow, mechanical step toward me, and the ground shook beneath it, and then nothing. I woke up lying flat on my back. The sky was pink with dawn. My body ached, and the air was quiet again. No monster, no light. But the clearing had changed. The grass around me was scorched in a perfect circle. Several trees were blackened, their bark cracked like charcoal. My skin itched. My eyes were bloodshot. I vomited twice on the way home, and couldn't eat for 3 days. When I finally saw a doctor at a local clinic, they said it looked like mild radiation, poisoning skin, irritation, nausea, eye strain, but they had no clue how I got it. For weeks, I didn't tell anyone. I convinced myself I'd imagined it. until I started hearing stories. A farmer down the road said 3 of his cattle went missing that same night. A teenager in town went blind for several hours after walking his dog. Near Elkhorn Lakes, said he saw something glowing in the trees. Half a dozen people said their phones and TVs fried around 2 a.m. And then I found it. An old newspaper clipping. September 1952. Flatwoods, WV. Multiple witnesses. Bright light in the sky. Metallic figure. 10 feet tall. Red eyes. Sulfur stench. They called it the Flatwoods Monster. I used to laugh at that story. Not anymore. I don't know what I saw that night, but it wasn't human, and whatever it was, it's still out there. So next time you're deep in Appalachia and see a green light fall from the sky, don't go looking, don't be curious, because if you go into those woods, it might already be waiting for you.
Second story.
My grandmother always said, if the woods go quiet all at once, you leave. No questions, no exceptions. I used to think she was just superstitious. That was before the night something stared back at me from just beyond the trees behind my trailer. It was the fall of 2007 when I moved into the trailer my uncle left me just outside Flatwoods, West Virginia. A rusted single-wide squatting near the tree line, like it was trying to disappear into the forest. Behind it stretched miles of pine, black oak, and silence. I was 26, broke, and fresh out of bad decisions. No rent, no neighbors, no noise. The solitude didn't scare me at first. I liked the quiet. I worked night shifts at a gas station off I-79 and spent my days chopping firewood, sleeping odd hours, and wandering the narrow deer trails behind the property. The woods had a calm rhythm if you learned to listen. Birds chirped, wind whistled, squirrels rustled the underbrush. Always something moving. Until one day, it wasn't. I had followed a creek deep into the forest, farther than usual until it forked near a collapsed gully strangled with vines and fallen branches. That's when I noticed the smell. Acrid, sharp burnt rubber, soaked in sulfur, like a car battery melting in the sun. I thought maybe an animal had died nearby, but the longer I stood there, the worse it got. The air thickened. Heavier than humidity. It pressed against my skin, electric like the static before a lightning strike. My arms prickled with goosebumps. And then it happened. The woods went dead, no birds, no wind, no insects, nothing. It was like the entire forest had inhaled and refused to exhale. I didn't wait. I turned and shoved my way back through the brush, heart pounding, branches clawing at my clothes. That night, I couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop thinking about the way everything had just stopped. The silence felt like a warning, and the smell it lingered. Even after a shower, I swore I could still taste it in the back of my throat. 2 nights later, it got worse. I got home around 3 a.m., bone-tired and fog-brained, and stepped out onto the porch with a cigarette. The woods were black, no stars. No wind, and again no sound. Then I heard it, a hum, low, mechanical like distant machinery, but too deep, too resonant. And it wasn't coming from the highway, it was coming from the woods. Getting louder, closer. A light flickered deep in the trees. Red, pulsing, slow, like something breathing. I stood up, and that's when something moved in front of it. It was taller than any deer or bear, its shape smooth, gliding, almost liquid. I froze, my skin crawled. A primal fear took hold, the kind that bypasses logic and screams, "Get inside." I slammed the door, locked every bolt, and turned off the lights. That's when I heard the clicking, faint at first, metal against metal, like gears turning, or claws, tapping sheet metal, rhythmic, methodical. It circled the trailer once. Then again, I didn't sleep that night. By morning I tried to laugh it off, told myself it was raccoons or kids messing around. When I mentioned it to Rick, the gas station owner, he just stared at me. But when I brought up the smell, he got pale, asked me where I'd smelled it. When I said near the gully, he just muttered, "You need to stay the hell out of there." He wouldn't say more. Days passed. I tried to forget, but then I got sick. Really sick. Couldn't eat, constant nausea. Vision blurred like I was drunk. Every time I opened a window, that smell came rushing back, stronger, sourer, and that night, the light came back. Closer this time. It flickered just beyond the tree line, steady, pulsing, deliberate. I didn't go outside. I barely dared to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I peeked through the curtain, and I saw it. It was standing at the edge of the woods, at least 10 feet tall, humanoid in the loosest sense. Its limbs were too long, bent wrong at the joints. Its body looked like black chrome, wet and smooth, reflecting red light in rippling waves. Its eyes massive and glowing, not red now, but a deep orange yellow, like molten glass. And it was looking straight at me. It saw me, and worse, it knew I saw it. Then it tilted its head. The clicking came again, faster now, urgent, angry, pain. Exploded in my skull. My nose bled. My ears rang like fire alarms. I dropped to the floor, vomiting bile, limbs twitching like I'd been electrocuted. I remember crawling toward the couch, gasping for air. Then nothing. When I woke up, it was morning. My front door was open. The porch boards were scorched, charred black in a perfect circle. The dirt smelled like melted batteries and burned wire. My hands shook. My vision swam. I drove straight to the hospital. They said it was a migraine, or poisoning. Blood tests came back clean. No explanation. I never went back. I sold the trailer within the week cheap. Took only what I could carry, and left Flatwoods behind like it was a bad dream. I never told my parents what happened, still haven't. But some nights, even now, when I can't sleep, I open the window just a crack, and I hear it, click, click, click dot, just beyond the trees. And the smell drifts in again, sulfur thick, warm, watching. So if you're ever alone in the woods, and everything goes quiet, leave. Don't ask why. Don't wait. Don't look back. Because if you do, it might already be looking back.
Third story.
My grandfather used to warn me, if you ever smell sulfur in the woods, don't breathe too deep. And whatever you do, don't look up. Back then, I thought it was just one of his weird old sayings, rural folklore passed down to scare kids away from the dark. But now I know. He was serious. It was late September 1963. I was 17, staying with my uncle on a small farm tucked in the hills just outside Braxton County. My cousin Wade and I had spent the afternoon hauling hay and checking fences. By the time we finished, the sun had dipped low behind the ridges, painting the sky with streaks of amber and deep purple. That's when we saw it, a silent flash, a streak of greenish-orange tearing across the sky like a brushstroke of fire. No sound, no tail, just a perfect arc. It paused, mid-air, hovered for a full second, and then dropped straight down behind the woods at the edge of the pasture. Not like a plane, or even a meteor. It moved too smooth, too precise. Wade looked at me, wide-eyed. You saw that? Too, right? We jumped the cattle fence and took off through the lower field, thinking maybe it was a meteorite, or some kind of crashed satellite. Something valuable, something we could see up close and brag about. We splashed through the creek, our boots sinking into the mud, and pushed past the brambles that marked the edge of the tree line. Then the smell hit us. It was like rotten eggs, but heavier, thicker, like metal soaked in something dead. It clung to our clothes, got into our mouths. The air felt wrong, almost greasy, like it was charged with static. The usual night sounds were gone. No frogs, no crickets. Even the wind had stopped. About 20 yards in, we saw it. At first I thought it was just a tree tall, narrow, unmoving, 10, maybe 12 feet high. But then it turned. There was a faint, mechanical whir, a soft clicking hum that rose and fell like breathing. The figure shifted in place, and two glowing red orbs flared open near the top like the brake lights of a car, but deeper, hotter. They blinked once, then locked onto us. Wade whispered, "What the hell is that?" I couldn't speak. My throat burned, and my lungs felt like they were shrinking inside my chest. The thing didn't walk. It hovered. It glided across the forest floor without touching it, and it was coming toward us. Its arms, or what looked like arms, unfolded outward with a hiss, almost like wings or long metal panels. Beneath them, I saw something flicker, a faint green pulse, like circuitry or veins. I couldn't tell if it was machine or alive or both. That's when the noise started, a deep groaning shriek, like iron being twisted slowly in reverse. Somewhere behind the thing, something opened a metallic hatch or spine and released a blast of hot air that made the trees sway. Then came the flash. I didn't feel pain, just blindness. My vision turned white, like staring into a welder's torch. I stumbled back, hit a tree, dropped to my knees. I heard Wade gagging, then vomiting. The air tasted like burning copper and sulfur. It scraped down my throat like sand. When my sight came back, shadows first, then shapes. The thing was gone. Vanished. No trace. Not a single footprint. No scorch marks. Just that god-awful smell, hanging in the air like a warning. We didn't speak. We ran, back through the woods, over the fence, barely breathing. My legs felt like rubber. My skin itched, like static was crawling over it. When we burst through the back door of the farmhouse, my uncle took one look at us and asked if we'd been rolling in chemicals. We told him what we saw. He didn't believe a word at first, but over the next few weeks, strange things started happening. The cattle wouldn't go near the woods. Grass in that part of the pasture grew in weird, spiraling patterns, like something had twisted the ground itself. And that very night, the power went out across the whole property. For 6 hours. No storms. No explanation. Wade never spoke about that night again, not once. He moved to Ohio the next summer and refused to come back, even for Christmas. But me, I stayed. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind dies down, I still catch a trace of that smell on the air. That burnt, metallic sulfur. Sometimes, just before a storm, I hear that low hum, again soft, at first, then rising like something powering up far away, and when I close my eyes, I still see those lights. Still feel them watching. Next time you smell sulfur in the forest, don't breathe, and don't look up, because whatever that thing was, it might still be there, and, this time, it might not let you leave.